Om Namah Shivaya. Welcome everybody. In this video, we are going to go over our opening and closing mantras for our practice. We'll cover their translations as well as their context, where they come from, and what they're pointing us to. But I do want to mention before we begin that in the tantric traditions, the meanings that are ascribed to the mantras are secondary in their importance to the vibratory quality of the mantras themselves. In the Kashmiri Shaivite traditions, mantras are living entities. They are beings, vibrational beings, the purpose of which is to bring us back into recognition of the divine, relationship to the divine. And so their meanings, while they're interesting to learn and to understand, that understanding truly is secondary to the vibrations themselves. But let's begin. So the first mantra that we begin with is actually the introductory verse to a very important text within these traditions called the Pratyabhijna Hridayam. It's a text from about the 10th to 11th century, written by a sage by the name of Kshemaraja. And he's introducing this beautiful 20-verse text, which no doubt we will get into in some other videos at some other time. But the mantra begins, Om Namah Shivaya Satatam Panchakritya Vidhayane Chidananda Ghana Svatma Paramarthava Basane. Reverence to the divine who constantly performs the 5 acts and who, by doing so, reveals the ultimate reality of one's own self, which is nothing but the joy of awareness. Reverence to the divine who constantly performs the 5 acts. The 5 acts: creation, preservation, reabsorption, concealment, and revelation. Central to this tradition is the recognition that you are not only as your limited being divine, but you are actually everything. You are that. You are the whole shabam. You are a microcosm of the greater macrocosm of the divine. And therefore, not only is this large divine constantly performing the 5 acts, but so are you on a microcosmic scale. So in any given moment, even just taking thought, for example, a thought emits into our thought process, right? There's a thought, oh, I really love cookies. And then it's preserved there for a while. Cookies, it's so good. And then it dissolves back again to the place where thoughts go. Part of that process as well, so that I can have that particular thought about cookies, is that I need to conceal all the other possible thoughts that I could be having in this moment. I could be thinking about the weather, I could be thinking about this or that, but to have a thought about cookies, I need to conceal all of those other thoughts. And that allows me the revelation of the thought of, I love cookies and I would love a cookie. So this is happening all the time. We essentially are that being played out by the universe. The universe essentially emits us. We are held for a particular lifetime, the span of our human life, and then we are reabsorbed back into it. And to have this human experience, we need to block out the everything. So we channel our attention, our being, our light through the senses and through the mind and the ego to have this particular experience, for it to be held for a while. And to do that, we cover over everything else. But within the traditions as well, we recognize that there is the potential for anugraha, of grace, of revelation. And so we're also recognizing that we can have that expansive experience, that I am one with everything revelation. So we start off with that central idea, that Chaitanya Atma, that consciousness is the self, that we are that. And so every time we sit down to practice, we first recognize our relationship, our unity with absolutely everything. Om, Haum, Hum, Hrim, Namah Shivaya. Right, these are very powerful bija mantras, seed mantras, within the traditions. Om you're familiar with the transcendent, with the beyond. Haum is, if we get into the various elements of the Tantra traditions at some point, it's Sadashiva. It's one of the highest but most subtle aspects of consciousness itself as it is existing in the universe. Hum is a mantra for Bhairava, which is consciousness itself arising in this moment is Bhairava. And Hrim is the bija mantra of the goddess herself. So, and then Namah Shivaya is a reverence to Shiva, to the auspicious one. Again, that's just a word we use within the tradition to describe everything. So we're just charging our practice with these really powerful bija mantras. Next, we knock on the sides of our head and we say the words Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturpujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayat Sarva Vigno Pashantaye. And while we're doing that, we're imagining white light, like the white light of the moon coming down and blasting all the darkness away with the light. This is a mantra that is done in puja preparations in all sorts of different traditions. And as you're getting ready to begin your ritual, you do this mantra to help clear your chitta, your mind stuff, so that you can be present with whatever it is that you're doing. The translation is Lord Ganesha, whose clothes are the sky, who is all-pervading, who is as bright colored as the moon, and who has 4 arms, a smiling face, and who is the remover of obstacles. I meditate on you. So Ganapati or Ganesha is an energy, a character, a deity that we'll talk a lot about. It's very central within the Tantra traditions. Of course, we're talking about something as if it's outside of ourselves, but in these non-dual traditions, we recognize that it's actually us. We're not really talking about something outside of ourselves, but because we're experiencing the world in this moment dualistically, it's okay to talk about things in a dualistic way as long as we recognize that they're actually us. So we're calling in the energy of ourselves to help light up our inner and outer beings so that we can be fully present within our practice. And it's the purpose of the mantra here is to really purify and to clear energy in space, which is similar with the very next mantra, right? We go from the head to the heart. Om Sadashivaya Vidmahe Sahasrakshaya Dhimahi Tano Shambho Prachodayata. This is a Shiva Gayatri mantra, very powerful mantra to cleanse and purify again. And not cleanse in the sense that we're dirty, but to cleanse, to help remove the boundaries and the gunk that we put in front of ourselves that prevent us from actually experiencing oneness in this moment. The self-generated fog on the lens, on the mirror, as it were, that which we experience being. So the translation here, we meditate on the perfect, full, complete, always continuing consciousness of infinite goodness. Contemplate He whose thousands eyes see everywhere. May that giver of bliss grant us illumination. Again, we're talking about ourselves, but we mean it in the sense of, wow, I don't feel that I am that, so I'm going to call it in as something, but the full constant reminder that we are that is super important. But here we're calling in this powerful Gayatri mantra, this energy to help blast out the armor that we've put on to shield us from life and from connection. Next, we have a mantra that's specifically coming from the Ganapati Panchopachara Puja, which is a Sri Vidya, South Indian Tantra puja. The Panchopachara Puja is the 5 offerings to Ganesha, to Ganapati. The words Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Shri Mahaganapatim Avahayami Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Now we can actually break this mantra down into 4 sections, which is giving us even more clarity as to why we're doing it at the beginning of our practice, whether it's a meditation practice or a asana practice. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. This is it is a Ganesha Mula mantra, a root mantra. Again, calling in that energy of Ganapati like we did before, but now we're recognizing Ganesha as the threshold guardian, that we're crossing a threshold. So we start the practice by acknowledging that we're one with everything, that we are the generator of the 5 acts. And then the next 2 mantras are there to blast out, to give us so much light that it lights up any areas of darkness that were making us feel separate from everything else. And now, once we've done that, we've crossed a threshold, right? We moved into a new realm of oneness, and we're acknowledging this by the first line, Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. We're acknowledging that we've crossed over a threshold. Shri Mahaganapatim Avahayami. We're invoking Ganapati in the space, Avahayami, right? So what we're doing by that is recognizing space itself, meaning to say that we're existing in the sphere of space. And so we're calling in this energy, which is none other than ourselves, into the space itself to recognize that right now we are having an experience in whatever space that we're in. Right now I'm in my home studio. That's the space that I'm in. So we're recognizing this aspect of being. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. This is honoring the teachers. Not only are we honoring our teachers through this, our yoga teachers as it were, it's all teachers, and all teachers throughout all time. And the reason why we do this is not only to appreciate everything that we've learned from our teachers, whether it be, like I said, yoga teachers, or our parents who helped us teach us how to tie our shoes, or to make our way in the world, or whoever it may be, school teachers and so forth. The added layer here is that we're recognizing our experience within the field of time, that there was time before us, that there will be time after us, that it's all existing at once, but what we are having is an experience of this particular time and space right here, right now. So we've acknowledged space, now we're acknowledging time in our place in this experience of time. Harihi Om. We're invoking the remover again of everything, and Om. We're recognizing the beyond, the transcendent, that which takes us beyond time and space. So we're getting this whole process of like, I'm having an experience of being in both space and time, and simultaneously I also have an experience of beyond all of that all that is capable when we are united, when the light has shined through the darkness, we're having this experience of being. Although in truth, you're having that experience even when you're completely covered up in so-called darkness, meaning to say that you're not feeling connected with everything. It's still there all the time. The translation for those lines, I'll say the mantra again. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Shri Mahaganapatim Avahayami Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Salutations to the great and auspicious Ganapati. I invoke the great Ganapati. Salutations to all teachers, and Om to the remover. All right, so we get to honor that crossing of a particular threshold from our first few mantras and moments sitting down for our practice. We're recognizing our experience in space and time and the beyond. And so that's when we then begin our practices from there. Now these are also accompanied by mudras when we do this particular mantra, and the other mantras have very simple mudras that we do. I'm going to do a separate video just on the mudras themselves that we do and what their meaning is and so forth. So keep an eye out for that. That will be coming next. But I want to finish off with the closing mantras that we do as well. So when we finish our practice, we have a few mantras with which we close the practice time and transition into whatever we're doing next. The first mantra comes from the Ganesha Ashtakam, the 8 verses in praise of Ganapati, a very powerful Ganesha mantra. Sarva Vigna Haram Devam, Sarva Vigna Vivarjitam, Sarva Siddhi Pradattaram, Vandeham Gananayakam. Salutations to the being who is the leader of the Ganas, who removes all types of obstacles, who excludes all types of obstacles, and who blesses one with all achievements. Now again, in the Tantric traditions, Ganapati is none other than ourselves. So what we're doing is calling in our own inherent power to remove the obstacles. What obstacles? The obstacles that when we're not practicing come up in our lives and get us to forget that we're actually one with everything. So it's one thing to be all like spiritual, doing yoga right now, I'm meditating, I'm one with the universe, and then we step away and we forget that we're one. We're not in that constant relationship with everything. And so we're calling in this energy to help remove those obstacles that we might just place, because coming out of Shavasana or my meditation, now I'm starting to think about everything I got to do later in the day, blah, 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 blah. This is here to remind us to remove those obstacles that would then get us projecting into the future or running away from the past so that we can be present. The next mantra is originally coming from the Devi Mahatmayam, which is a beautiful goddess text. It's specifically also been drawn out of that great, very large, large text compared to short mantras. There is the Durga Sapta Shloki, and those are the 8 verses in praise of the goddess Durga, which the text is all about Devi Durga and various forms of the goddess, overcoming the limitations of mind and thought and all these sorts of forces that get us feeling disconnected from unity. And it's happening, this particular verse is happening at a time in the text, in the Devi Mahatmayam, when the goddess has overcome all of the demons. So she's been victorious now, just like we are in our practice when we're victorious over the things which are also ourselves, that we would put in front of ourselves that make us forget that we're one with everything. We've overcome those apparent limitations, and now we're celebrating. Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trayambake Gori Narayani Namostute. O auspiciousness in all auspicious things. So the auspiciousness itself in anything that is auspicious. O she who brings about all desirable results. O refuge, O three-eyed goddess, O Parvati, O Narayani, reverence to you. So we're praising the goddess. When we started, there was more praise to Shiva, right? The transcendent. We're coming out from our day to sit into our practice. We've been embodied, and now we need to recognize something more than just the limitations of being. Now we're celebrating the apparent limitations of being. It's like, oh yes, the goddess is embodiment, is life force itself. So we're celebrating that, like, yes, we are experiencing the divine in embodiment, and we can experience it and still be connected to source. We can still be connected to the divine at all times. 2 final verses. One, a verse which is the final verse of the Shiva Sutras, another primary text of the tradition, and my personal text that I've spent the most time with. It's actually, when I look at the context of my life, the number of times that I've read this text cover to cover, I chant it often and regularly. I spend every single day with it, at least a few minutes, whether it's chanting a few particular verses, or I have I've been working on for years with a number of texts, but the Shiva Sutras in particular, of different translations and commentaries and all sorts of things. So I'll often just pick open a page and spend some time with a particular verse each and every day, just even if it's just a few minutes. Very powerful practice, but also really amazing text, and the one that I have the most devotion to because I've spent so much time with it. And so this verse, is actually the final verse of the text. Bhuyahasayat pratamilanam. We say it 3 times. Bhuyahasayat pratamilanam. The 3rd time, though, we whisper. Bhuyahasayat pratamilanam. Right, because that last one is that inner promise. Because what the verse is saying, it's referencing this idea that we're gonna close our eyes and we're gonna open our eyes, which in and of itself is a tantric practice. We've done it in some of our meditation videos before, where you close your eyes, you breathe in, recognize the divine within, and then exhale, open your eyes, recognize the divine out through the senses, and you keep this closed eyes, open eyes experience coming in and out. So it's referencing not only a tantric practice, but it's also referencing this very powerful idea that not only do we experience the divine in these closed-eyed experiences of samadhi, or also in the experiences of our practice. So whether it's meditation or asana, we're experiencing, oh, I'm one with the universe. Can I also experience it out in my life? So there's a lot of different layers to interpret this particular line. The idea that we're going to fall asleep, and can we wake up again? So in one sense, the closed eyes is when I'm feeling connected to samadhi, to the beyond, to turiya. And when I open my eyes, I forget that, so I need to see it again. But in other ways, we're saying, well, sometimes I close my eyes, as in I conceal my relationship to everything. I forget that I'm one with everything. So may I awaken to that realization that I am one with everything again. There's Bhuyahasayat pratamilanam. So we say it out loud to the universe, we say it out loud to the space, and then we whisper it to ourselves as that final reminder that, oh man, may I keep waking up to myself. No matter how many times I lose my cool throughout the day and forget that I'm one with everything, can I reawaken to that revelation that we experience when we're practicing. And then the final verse, of course, is the bija mantra for Maha Saraswati, Aim. And this Aim is the refinement of Om. So Om is the base, the pure, raw, undifferentiated, fully potentialized vibration of the universe. Aim is that process as it moves through embodiment and being, where finally, so at first it's going through and it conceals itself, it forgets that it's one, and it has the capacity to go back to, going up or down here, to go back to that oneness soup. But Aim is the vibration of embodied being fully connected to the divine. So it's not just embodied being, which in and of itself is divine, of course, but that embodied being in realization that it is one with everything. That is Aim. It is the goddess fully expressed as enlightenment, as Jivan Mukti, as embodied, realized being. And so the Aim, we inhale down to the very base of our being, the pelvic floor, and we exhale. The Aim moves from the ah sound at the pelvic floor all the way up. Ying, Aim. And sending that vibration through our whole body to remind every cell in our body that not only are we embodied beings filled with the divine, but that we are living as realization, connection with everything, with oneness itself. So that's it. So I'm going to go through all those mantras one more time for us, just by chanting them, because again, the vibrations are powerful and important. I encourage you to chant along with me if you're watching this video. And then perhaps as we get through these mantras while we're doing our other practice videos, you can follow along a little easier now. I also encourage you to explore these mantras in your own practice. All of these mantras have been a part of my personal sadhana for a number of years, in different places throughout my sadhana. And for the last year, have been all collected and gathered into this space of one practice. So I do these mantras every single day, multiple times a day throughout my practices. And that's why I share them, because they're powerful for me. I know their efficacy, not only in their original context in the various places that they're coming from, but all together as one particular practice that holds the container for whatever practice we may be doing. They're all super powerful. And so that's why I share them. And I hope you not only enjoy them when we're practicing, but I'm very curious as you explore them in your own practice, the benefits that you get from them as well. So please feel free to share those, whether it's commenting on a video or reaching out to me personally, or if you have more questions, by all means, feel free to reach out as well. So if you'd like to join us, or even just now, if you're still trying to hear the mantras themselves, you can close your eyes. If you're somewhat familiar, feel free to chant along with us. And of course, this is video, so you can rewind, you can come back, all these sorts of things. I will include a PDF of all of this for you. If you're watching this on Patreon, it will be up on Patreon. If you're watching this somewhere else, YouTube, Facebook, you can find the PDF on my website. I'll start to have a file section up there for these types of things where people can find all these sorts of things. So, find a nice comfortable seat. Close your eyes. Inhale. Exhale to sigh out your mouth, soften into being. Inhale to begin. Om Namah Shivaya Satatam Panchakritya Vidhayane Chidananda Gana Svatma Paramarthava Basane Om Haum Hum Hrim Namah Shivaya Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturpujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayat Sarva Vigno Prashantaye Om Sadashivaya Vidmahe Sahasrakshaya Dhimahi Tano Shambho Prachodayat Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Shri Maha Ganapatim Avahayami Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Closing mantras. Inhale. Om Sarva Vigna Haram Devam Sarva Vigna Vivarjitam Sarva Siddhi Pradattaram Vandeham Gananayakam Om Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvatha Sadike Sharanye Trayambake Gori Narayani Namostute Om Bhuyahasayat Pratamilanam Bhuyahasayat Pratamilanam Bhuyahasayat Pratamilanam. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've learned something new. Please feel free to reach out. If you have any questions, leave comments, or you can reach out to me personally by email. Anugrah Hitosmi.